Before we get started, I have a quick confession. I finally had worked up the courage, looked at the analytics, and said, even though the YouTube algorithm isn't such a huge fan of it, doesn't seem to reach as wide an audience, let's show some mirror matchups. Let's pick something out that I think might be interesting, even from ZVZ. So, Reynor versus Dark. Now, imagine my surprise when I didn't look very closely at the load screen. And here we have, in the bottom left, in the red, in this $40,000 tournament, playing Protoss, it's Reynor, the Italian stallion, up against the best Zerg versus Zerg player in the world. It's the final boss, Dark. Yes, I, for once, completely bamboozled. I don't know if Dark was as well. I don't know how much of this is Reynor wondering whether or not he could, rather than whether or not he should. But at the end of the day, to start things off, it's a Protoss versus Zerg. I don't know if by the end of the series we'll get that mirror matchup I was looking for, but it appears that not even Reynor wants to play Zerg versus Zerg against Dark. So, a best of 3 PvZ, and if you like some variety, well, it'd be awesome if you could like this video. Subscribe as well if you haven't made it there yet. Jimmy, what are we at? Oh god, he's cheesing it. What? 1,138 likes, and I'll cast another series. And, you know, I'll probably do it anyways. But thank you for watching. Hopefully you've had a good day so far. And hopefully you haven't had to play against... Oh god, he loses the first adept. Jimmy, I know we're dropping the ball to... Where are my health bars? My god, do I have to do everything myself around here? Well, this may finally answer the question. Well, Reynor and Dark himself, but Reynor is one of the few players who's ever found any success with his off-race, specifically his Protoss. There's only a handful of players in StarCraft 2 history who have switched their race successfully. Not just played another one, but switched successfully. The main standout is Neve, who played Terran in Wings of Liberty and Heart of the Swarm, but is much better known as a Protoss player from Legacy of the Void. Come back to us, Neve. Maybe someday. But Reynor has occasionally dabbled in the Protoss, and generally, well, I like to describe it this way. It's essentially like learning another instrument. Almost. You know the mechanics, you know how to play music, arguably. But going from a bassoon to a harpsichord is, I assume, a dramatic and new process. And even though the notes might be the same, the way you go about them is almost completely different. And Zerg, especially, has very, very different mechanics compared to Terran or Protoss. And this is part of why the Bronze League is 50% Terran, as those have the most standard mechanics. But Reynor has shown the Protoss before. Let's get back. Let's not lose the plot too much here. And it hasn't been as clean, it hasn't been as polished as Hero or Max Packs, but you can really see the speed that he brings to the table. Just the mass multitasking, and the precision with that micro that even some Protoss players struggle with. Now, at the same time, he's found himself kind of on the short end of the tech tree, getting overrun by those Zerg units he knows and loves, and I'm sure Dark is going to be well-versed in. I'm not sure. It's such a rare thing. There's usually not too many rules about it. Usually you have to pick your race for either before the game or the match. And it's so rare to counterpick that there are no rules about who gets to do it first. Usually players are pretty much locked in, 99.9% of the time. Though occasionally tournaments have added at the start of a series, you must pick a particular race. Though most tournaments don't have that because they would love for players to kind of, you know, mix things up. It's just very simply incredibly difficult. Even Cyril. Well, maybe Cyril just thinks Zerg is the best, but Cyril while he's won some tournaments as Terran. Not nearly as high profile. Dark, he started out with plenty of Zerglings, and he's added on plenty more, but behind it he does have an infestation pit, a roach warren with speed on the way, enough Zerglings that if these stalkers or any other gateway units are caught outside, away from the bases, the shield batteries, any other defenses, they will be surrounded and slaughtered. So far, Reynor is mostly focused on the gateway unit composition. He doesn't even have a robotics facility. Adding in the stasis on the back. And Dark, gonna not lose a few drones, but lose a bit of mining time. No fourth base yet for Reynor, though. He's got Storm and +2 ground weapons on the way. Hive for Dark, sprinting towards it. He knows he has enough lings to deal with the Blink Stalkers on the field. Dark is not going to hesitate getting to that Hive tech. Vipers, very likely. No Hydra Den or Spire so far. Some Broodlords and Lurkers, not yet on the agenda. I'd love for him to just go mass Ultra against Reynor. I don't know how much of Dark's... I don't even know if you call it an ego. I guess ego is accurate. It's just not... if it's not cocky if you know you can get away with it. Okay. It's just confidence. But so many times it feels like Dark could win in a certain way, but he's decided he's gonna take the more creative path for maximum effect. Oh, so many roaches and lings. He's got 80 lings, 16 roaches, up against just 13 stalkers. A few Archons warping in here. The Blink Stalkers trying to hold the line. The Zerglings getting the wrap around. No +2 melee yet, but runs down an Archon. Another one at the back. A good Storm softens up some of the roaches, but what's going to follow it up? The Oracles are completely out of energy. Another Archon dead on arrival. And Reynor warps in another round, so Dark will pull back slightly. Just finished +2 melee. They're just not remotely close to enough here. Not even in the same zip code as enough for Reynor. Stalkers and Zealots. Not even charge on those Zealots. Dark is saying, Reynor, have you seen these Zerg units? They're pretty good, aren't they? Wish you had them. Dark is just on another level than Reynor's Protoss. This is about as cookie cutter, almost like a ladder game sort of style. Reynor tried to hold on to 3-4 bases, but he barely got any damage done early. He didn't follow it up with any sort of attack. And now Dark is maxed out with all the tech in the world. Well, not all of it, but all that he needs. He's going to have Baneling speed, plenty of upgrades. I don't know if Reynor is going to 500 APM micro his way out of this one. This is a math problem, and problem indeed. Dark even throws some of the Banelings at the rocks. Totally intentional. Glaives on the way for Reynor. Well, interesting potential late-game choice, though Banelings don't care too much about the Adept Glaives or otherwise. More Banelings rolling in. Archons melting to the roaches here. Another Archon attempted. Dark actually losing a lot. But he's building even more. Was there a hatch over here? No, he has not lost. Dark has not lost a single building, even a creep tumor. Yeah, Glaives on the way, which is, wait, is it a misclick? As Glaive to depth, very simply, like, Banelings aren't even light units. They just don't have much HP. So, maybe better than charge lots, but not that much is going to help here. Oracle's doing their best, but energy low across the board. Ravager's coming in for, yeah, he throws up a wave of corrosive bile, knocks out most of the defenses. The Oracles, all they can do is watch. The Banelings rolling in. The probes on the run. But the Banelings close in, and 21 down in the first wave. Pretty cookie cutter. Wow, that is the most APM I've ever seen. With Pro 631 average. I don't know what he's doing, but it's not going to solve this equation here. I mean, Dark not slouching at 557. 600 APM Protoss, but what does he have to show for it? He's kept as many units alive as he could be expected to. But the Stalker Zealot composition pales in comparison to the Mass, Roach, Ravager, Zergling. Like, I keep waiting for Reynor to tap it out, but he's actually trading kind of well, assuming an even money game, which is not what we're playing right now. Dark is now up by over 1,000 income. It's up by 600. I never point this out, and I never even use it, but you can actually see the income differential directly here on the beautiful UI. Thank you to Bob again for modifying it at my request. I thought some of those stats would be nice to have on the screen. Like, I'm also a big fan of the total mining, as especially dark games, that becomes very relevant. All right, well, Reynor ain't dead yet. He's down to 2. Okay, that's 2 Gs. 2 messages. Just like the rest of the game, using a lot of actions to little effect. Dark slaps the Protoss out of him. A comfortable victory in game 1. We'll see. Game 2. Whether Reynor is back to Zerg. From what I understand, you can technically switch race every game in this tournament, if you're so inclined. Reynor is the only one who's taken advantage of it so far. Advantage is maybe a strong word. But, what do we have here? In Game 2 on Grezvin, let me introduce the Protoss player. In the top left, it's Basilisk Gaming's Reynor. Sticking with it. I wonder if he'll change anything up, as Dark just kind of slapped him off the field. We will see. It is true that Dark is the best ZVZ player in the world. Cyril has a better win rate against Protoss and against Terran. By far, over 90%. Dark only at like 70. What a casual. But Dark ZVZ is something like 75 to Cyril's 65 at the top level. So it is actually... And Cyril has lost some quite high-profile ZVZs in the 2 largest tournaments of the year. But none of that is important. What's important is Dark is proxy hatching Reynor. So Reynor's over here doing 2,000 APM mining micro. And Dark is... I mean, Dark isn't slouching here, but... This is not like a troll show match. This is the Masters Coliseum with $40,000 prize pool. We're in the playoffs here, Reynor. All right? You're going to need your keyboard if this series goes on. He hasn't even checked that Dark expanded on the low ground. Dark is just not... He's not having it. He's not... He said that game took too long. He wasn't appropriately humiliated. Yeah, he's gonna see the triple spine crawler. Oh my god, he might not even notice until now. The Zerglings already got in. This is an absolute disaster. Reynor on the receiving end of some finely curated Zerg cheese here. Definitely a strategy that becomes less effective if you don't scout it. Reynor was too busy staring down the minerals with his probe. Didn't even think of it. There's a chance with this dramatic... He's got mass shield battery, but he still only has 1 stalker. He's got a Zergling surround. He's going to be draining the shield battery energy so quickly. Why is he hitting the gate? Dark, why are you hitting the gate? Why not the shield battery? Is that a misclick? He just really hates that gate. You know, he's going for the cyber core. There you go. Now targeting the shield batteries. Shield batteries don't have remotely as much HP as the spine crawlers here. Actually, they have a... No, it's 200 versus 300. It's 300 versus 300. You know what? They have the same effective HP. Doesn't matter. Spine crawler does a lot more damage. Yeah, this... Well... You mess with the ball, you're gonna get the horns. Something like that. Well, there goes the cyber core. Speed is dumb, by the way, so that's not good. There's no shield battery. He's gonna recall the stalkers, which is just sad. He gets 2 out of 3. Well. Dark is up here, throwing his impaler tentacles, yes, the actual term for the spine crawler attack, into Reynor's face. Reynor not able to handle it here. There's a baneling nest on the way. Technically, Reynor has a worker lead, which is, oh my god, loses a stalker. There's a shield battery. He doesn't have the energy for overcharge, by the way. It looks like he's just gonna bust his way through. By the way, the spine crawlers can just, you know, mosey on up the ramp here. 5 banelings. Yeah, against what? So, it's currently 26 zerglings, 5 banelings, 2 queens. Brenda? Yes. Yes, Susan. Yes. Alright. The banelings are coming in. There's not too many places to go here. The probe's on the run. Oh my. Well, that's enough for you, Reynor. Dark just obliterates him in game 2. That was... Well... I have a major update. Alright, we're going into match point. Dark has successfully slapped the Protoss out of Reynor. Game 3 on Babylon. Let me introduce you to our Zerg player in the red. It is the Italian stallion. It's Reynor. Kind of a crazy move. I don't think Reynor... I think he legitimately believed he had a shot with the Protoss. There. Playing against all the players on the European ladder does not prepare you for Dark. Reynor is literally, alongside Dark, a world champion. He is one of the most competitive players in the world. At this stage of the tournament, I think you at least have to believe you have a shot in order to pull out the Protoss like that. But Dark disabused him of that notion immediately. That was, in a way only Dark can, the most efficient way to stop Reynor from these silly games. Don't you know that Protoss is for making people angry on the ladder and getting knocked out in the earlier rounds of the tournament, Reynor? And just like, well, I just wanted to demonstrate that point. Reynor so far playing only the races that his name is not based on. Apparently, and this may be me making it up on the spot, but I'm reasonably sure I heard it to this extent. Reynor's name is... He just tried to name himself after Jim Reynor, but he misspelled it because he was just going based on the sounds. Which, you know, makes sense as with English as your second language. When he was like 8 years old or something, so it does give him that unique aspect. And a bit of confusion to anyone who's ever played StarCraft but isn't so involved in the multiplayer scene. Alright, see, I guess we get that mirror matchup after all. I gotta kind of reset into ZVZ mode. So, Zerg versus Zerg is essentially a knife fight in a phone booth. It is a lot of hiding your next move in plain sight, because overlords will see everything out of the map effectively. There's nothing anyone can do to stop that. The queens can suspiciously push them away. I say suspiciously because if you send your queens out to kill the overlords, that is already information in and of itself. So anything you send out of your base in the early game, whether it's Zerglings, roaches, or nothing, which is also a tell, is going to be scouted. So behind it, we have the most dramatic split as both players have rushed lair. It is a map with a wall off on the high ground, which does factor in a lot in ZVZ because it makes it a lot harder to do super early all-ins with like Ling Baneling or even Roach Ling. It's gonna be Reynor with mass roaches. He started Burrow for a split second. Up against Dark with Mutas. Probably the only matchup where Mutas have a real place in the mid-game, though still quite a risk early on. They are expensive, and even if your opponent only has roaches, it's still going to take quite a bit. Yeah, well, I think Reynor's already got his suspicions. He's going to just see the Spire, so those suspicions confirmed. I'm actually very interested. How does he deal with this now? Because he knows the Spire is there. He knows Mutas are a threat. Dark knows that he knows. So how far do we go? You know what? Knowing Dark, he's just going to make mass Muta either way. No Hydrolus Den, just a bunch of queens here. Queens perfectly capable at early game defense. Spore Crawlers have a bonus versus biological, and they only hit air. And only one race has biological air, which is about as close as we get besides plus shield damage to saying, screw these guys in particular. 7 Mutas on the way. Vipers and Infestors. The wombo combo of spellcasters. Very, very capable against the Mutas as well. Parasitic Bomb, Fungal, both major threats. Even Microbial Shroud can be used at certain points. Though, definitely the least common. Every once in a while, that word or those words pop up, and it's like, oh yeah, Microbial Shroud. I saw Cyril use that once against carriers when he was busy embarrassing Protoss. Mutas fly in. Spore Crawler in position. Takes 5 Mutas. 5 Muta hits to kill a drone. So that's kind of the key number here. He has more than that number already. He's surprisingly passive. I guess it's only been 6 minutes, as both these players have worked their way heavily up the tech tree. Alright, Mutas flipping around. Not gonna find anything, but Dark already has his forward base. He's got total map control. Even with Infestors, there's nothing to reliably kill the Mutas. If you're not fighting with the queens. Now, Creep doesn't discriminate. Creep works for both sides. The only difference is the Creep Tumors. Creep Tumors provide vision. But Creep's Creep, bro. As they say. So, if the queens want to walk across the map, Dark is Creep spreading as well. It'll benefit the queens on either side. It is always a little awkward when the creeps touch. But, we're not talking about League of Legends here, so... Though I have it on good authority that Reynor plays a lot of it, which is... Do with that information what you will. +1 melee, yeah. I know my Dark. Even Dark takes a mirror matchup and actually makes it completely different. This isn't really a mirror. This isn't Roaches and Lings kind of hemming and hawing. This is going to be Mutiling Bane up against a Roach Hydra Infestor. A Roach scampers in. It actually gets a false scout. Yeah, he's going to see that Dark does not have a hive. He's continuing to upgrade the Mutalisks. There's so many mutas now. He's got 20 of them. One good fungal. Well, a couple good fungals. You gotta chain them together. It's not, they don't stun the mutas anymore. And without the parasitic bomb, he's probably not gonna kill all of them. But like, okay, we'll say like 3 good fungals. Meet in the middle here. And all he has to do is take out a critical mass. If there's less than like 15 mutas, he can't really fight the Hydras anymore. He is using mutas as a fighting unit, even though we haven't seen much of it yet. Ooh, he sees the infestors for sure. He's working around the edges. I think it's intentional that Dark hasn't really spread his creep any further here. For those reasons as mentioned. Like, you want the vision, but you don't want to give your opponent a benefit. Especially this specific scenario is like the only scenario where not creep spreading is a real decision. When you are focused on mutas and your opponent is clearly on a ground army. So, because the creep just doesn't benefit you nearly as much. Dark just kind of... Oh my god, the lurkers! I don't know if he saw it, but the lurker eggs blocked them at the wall. So Dark seizes the opportunity. He's going for the lurker den itself. Are there any lurker upgrades? No. No Hive Tech lurker upgrades. That's a huge deal. That's going to allow Dark to get to his own hive here and potentially handle it himself. He's got 4 overseers on the way. But that is a big benefit there. The lurkers are still helpful. Make no mistake. As you can see there, just eviscerating the banelings, popping them like overripe tomatoes. Rolling in. 44 more banelings from Dark. All right. Dark's like, well, if you have enough banelings, though, anything can happen, which is usually true. It is that kind of turtley unit composition out of Reynor. He's going to try to hold the line. Dark doesn't have a huge amount of money in the bank. Well, he does have more bases, more income. He's going to try to batter down the defenses. If he had Vipers himself, he's going for the Infestor. Fungal comes through, and the Vipers have Parabomb. He throws it out. Oh, it does. Parasitic Bomb does just enough damage to not kill mutas. They're left with like 1 HP because of their regen. But anything else, like a Fungal and a Parasitic Bomb, is a muta kill. And anyone nearby for long enough. Dark not able to seize that opportunity. He's got an Ultralisk Cavern on the way. Gonna try that late game option. Though, this is almost a reenactment of the global finals. Not too long, well, 2019 was pretty long ago. Yeah, it's 2023. So pretty long ago, but the Ultras versus Lurkers battle. If we get there, here comes Dark. Banelings everywhere. Where's the Parabombs? He uses them on a good clump of mutas. Dark is able to quarantine most of them, but the Lurkers are just shredding on the ground. The anti-air isn't there, though, so even though the fight looked good for Reynor, he didn't have enough to stop the mutas overall. And 10 more mutas on the way. More Hydras are required. There's only 7 queens, adding in some more Hydralisks. But Dark holds him on the field. And Reynor's going to be stuck on 3 bases. He gets another hatch. Dark is outmaneuvering him. This almost looks like that game 1. Reynor with a decent army on paper. Oh, but look at the supplies. It isn't like game 1 because they're lurkers and upgraded Roach Hydra, as opposed to just stalkers and zealots. Parasitic Bomb. It's away from it. Baneling's finishing. And we'll soften up the roaches, but not getting to the Hydras that they really need to be fighting here. But mutas in high numbers against Hydras. Mutas can fly, a major benefit. And the upgrades are even. +2, +1 for both the mutas and the Hydras. Something you don't see very often, as the muta upgrades are quite expensive. And so are the mutas themselves. Ultralisk chitinous plating, but here come the queens. They traverse the gap. This creep feels weird. No, it's the same creep. It's all in your head, Brenda. I don't know. I don't see any creep tumors. Oh my god, we can't do this right now. There's so many. The muta's coming in. Sorry, I blacked out for a second. And now Reynor's queens are marching forward. There's enough anti-air. That critical mass of mutas has been whittled down. And is now not enough to really threaten the ground army. Parasitic Bomb gonna force a split. He actually misses it for a second. Trying to deal with the rest, but brings the Parabomb back. The Hydras are chasing it down, but there's just not enough to really do damage. He's gonna pick off, but it doesn't even one-shot Hydras anymore. 5 Ultras are about to pop out. The last chance here for Dark to hold the line. The Queen's at the front line. Chitinous Plating Ultralisks with +3 melee attack, by the way. Could be an incredible choice. Well, there's a couple lurkers underneath, but the Ultras, they're so small. I mean, they went on a diet with the last patch, but you can really see it here. Yeah, get picked apart. It's not enough. The damage output of the lurkers plus the Roach Hydra, it's just too much. Reynor didn't even have the lurker range upgrade, not that it matters much against Ultralisks, but Dark is unable to break through, and it looks like Reynor being pushed into Zerg. When it comes to shoving back, will hold the line. This time around, Dark is on the retreat. He's unable to get anything done. Raider's gonna be taking at least one. I like Dark. Dark essentially respecting the pick ban process here. Every unit that Reynor made, Dark did not. Roaches, Hydras, Lurkers, even the Mass Queen style, those were Reynor's. Whereas Ling, Bane, Ultra, Muta, that's Dark's. A classic pick ban series. The game isn't over. I was really setting up that outro, I thought, pretty well, but we're not there yet. Oh, those are Raider's Queens. Wait, that's Raider's Creep Tumors. Creeps creep, bro. Viper. Dark will survive, but it's not like Reynor is in dire straits. He's been able to get his 4th. He has the army to win the game. Now he just has to seize upon it. If Dark is given like 2 or 3 more minutes, maybe he sneaks by and finds a way, but I don't think Reynor's going to give him that time. That's a lot of Ultras. Unfortunately, that many Lurkers will easily slice him. And the Lurker damage is so high, it just cuts right through the armor. He's abducting Overseers. Banelings come in. +3 Banelings killed 20 drones of Reynor. Yeah, things get dicey. That's gonna be way too many Lurkers. No. 9 more Lurkers on the way. The Lurker spread. Here comes Dark, even throwing some drones, and the Queen's on the back line. Does he even have detection? Oh no. Oh my. Absolutely eviscerated. Reynor strikes back with a pretty comfortable victory. In Game 3, the first ZVZ between these two. It's gonna be 2-1. And it's Terran time, Reynor. Let's go. I don't think so. No, it's going to be Zerg. He's going Zerg. All right. I don't think Dark is going to be too shaken nor stirred by that, but as he clearly wanted to go for the contrarian style. I think there were plenty of opportunities to switch into Roachling, but in typical Dark fashion, he just didn't. He's just like, let's try Mutas this time. And he almost got there. It looked like for a few moments, even though Reynor had scouted it, that he might be able to break through, but the Mutalisks are such fragile creatures, have such clear counters, and seeing that Spire with so much lead time made a big difference in being able to respond directly. All right. Back to sanity. Royal blood. Always great to see the queens traverse the creep. And it ended up coming, making the big difference. In the end, without the queens, Hydras are not a reliable anti-air unit. Hydras are mostly lurker eggs, and even in that last game, that was demonstrated. As even against the air units that are most fragile, mutas, they struggle to really be very effective. Mutas simply can fly and pick their fights way easier. The queen's a little bit more hardy. A bit more meatiness to them. So even though the mutas can pick them apart, it usually isn't particularly cost effective. The word is robust. All right, they're not meaty. They're not large. They're robust. There you go. Good word. Will Reynor stick with the build again? Dark has gone for the quick 3-hatch. Does he go 3-hatch before speed? Yes. No respect. This is quite a risky play. As it is relying... And it's not like Reynor doesn't see. The Overlord is slightly... Did he see the drone? He actually doesn't see the third. Which is... I have to assume he saw the drone, but that's very important info that he does not have right now. He's building... I mean... There are a couple different schools of thought on dealing with it overall. As... Do you try to punish it immediately? It looks like that's the intent. I think he realized that. Got 14 lings on the way. The wall off at the front kind of covering the queens. Where are you going? You're looking for overlords. And this is cover for his third. It's not like Dark has a huge drone count. The third base is not so much for economy, but for production in ZVZ. It's for that extra larva, which can easily springboard into a lead, but only if you're able to keep it. It is a liability right now. Dark is waiting for his Roach One to finish. He may just give up the third hatch. It's crazy to me he's building exactly 0 units. What are you doing? What? Never ever play poker with Dark. Oh my god. He has nothing behind this. Those lings, like half the roaches, those lings can be banging on the door right now. It's just queens. There's only a couple roaches building. But like, Dark finished up his drone count. 44 drones for 2 bases. I have no idea if this was like the intent. He's only got he's gonna have +1 ranged attack. But he made sure he had his economy. He calmly, he already decided he was losing that base. Like, well before. As soon as the Zerglings came across, it feels like, is when he decided that base was not going to make it. By the way, he's building a spire. It's going to be Mutas again. And at this point, Reynor, he's just now finishing his lair. He starts an Overseer immediately. But the spire is already done. God. And this is why I think there was some method to the madness of playing Protoss against Dark. Playing ZVZ against him. Well, there's no... like, it's just gonna be mentally difficult. He is probably the most difficult player to mentally play against, as he doesn't get tilted, and you have literally no idea what's coming out. Like, is it a roach timing? There's 12 roaches on the way for Reynor. That indicates to me, well, he has plenty of economy. He wants to go for a timing himself and make sure he's safe enough against any roaches out of Dark, because he limited Dark's economy. So let's play it safe. Let's get those roaches out. Nope. Mutas again. It's Mutas again. Somehow he's avoided. Well, not anymore, as the Overseer comes out. It will spot all of this. Spore crawlers being built. Hydra dead. A Muta is not spotted until they choose to reveal themselves. Dark is, like, it's still not an amazing spot for him. He just now caught up in drones. He's getting +2 on the ground. Another key part of Dark is how he plays a full series. Last game, he went mass Muta. This game, he's built exactly 5, and now he's getting ranged attack with mass roaches. +2. Yes, there's Hydras on the way, but Reynor is biting hard right now. Getting a Hydra den at all, and if he gets any Hydras, they just don't trade well in the mass roach fights. I think Reynor, he's getting the Hydra speed. He hasn't built any Hydras, so and the Zerglings are scouting for it. 4 Hydras on the way. In a maxed out fight, they can be good, but mass roach actually, it's kind of a quantity over quality situation for sure. Well, Reynor already has enough on the ground, though. Even if the upgrades aren't there, I think, therefore I am. And also, it's, I don't know. ZVZ is so hard to call. I guess 1, because I don't watch much nowadays, and 2, because does Dark go? He doesn't have an infestation pit. It's clearly on Dark here. If somebody is going to attack, as Reynor has +1/+1, he's getting a 4th. Dark is maxed out pretty much, as is Reynor. The attack upgrade far more effective than the Carapace upgrade in the overall fight. But the Mutas are still helpful for denying counterattacks. The actual on-the-ground army supply. Roach Ravagers on both sides. Here we go. The Concave clearly favoring the Italian Stallion here. Dark is trying to come up into one of the best possible positions Reynor could have for a fight. Trying to open up an opportunity maybe for a flank, because the Hydras really benefit from that extra range. Reynor thinks he has the ability to just outflank, but Dark has preemptively boxed him out here. The Mutas are still in the back line. Good concave still from Reynor. These units, none of them, all of them are pretty large, and none of them have particularly much range. So getting a better surface area is so important in these fights. Dark is just kind of swinging around. So far, I think he's been more efficient, but Reynor gets a few roaches in the back line. Always slipping those roaches by, and now starting to really wield that extra army supply. Well, at least he had extra army supply. Dark lost his mutas somewhat intentionally, and is now filling in. +2 ranged attack about to finish for Reynor. I think he's going to get a lot more confident on the field. He just killed 12 drones, and now he has better upgrades with the Carapace. Even a few Hydras mixed in. Dark still has some badly bruised Ravagers here. All right, now who's flanking who is the question. Corrosive Biles on both sides. Dark, a fighting retreat up the ramp in order to try to turn the concave here against Reynor. So far, Dark has taken the better fight by a bit. That's just roaches, no Ravagers with the army. A bunch more roaches on either side. So many badly bruised roaches that can get turned into Ravagers. Come out with full HP. Dark has maintained his Ravager count, which is a big difference. It's not so much that he thinks it's going to do a lot of damage. It's that it forces the roaches to micro away, and thus reduces the surface area. These roach wars. The entire volley fire of bile and acid. More roach Ravager, but it feels like Dark actually making some progress here. If he can get to the mineral lawn, start hitting the drones. He doesn't have that many drones himself, but this is not an army that requires many to build. A few of the roaches on the top side here. Another round of biles. The Queen's coming up and getting taken down. Reynor losing momentum. Dark just keeping that core of Ravagers alive. The corrosive biles and just the amount of uptime he's had on the army. And suddenly Dark is the one with a 30 supply lead. He went from a worse army on the field and has just kind of shoved his way, stiff arming the roaches out of the way. It's not over yet, but reinforcements are coming in. Dark has almost killed this hatchery. He's closing in on the Ravagers, but it is costing him a lot. Throws out some more corrosive biles on the hatch. He gets it. And Reynor now going to struggle to maintain the level of production. Dark has caught up in upgrades. Reynor going to have +2 carapace earlier, but the little advantages have been adding up here. Reynor trying to box out with some of his roaches, but Dark, I think he's done it. Like, it's 4 bases to 3 with almost exactly the same army composition. Once Dark finishes +2 carapace, if he can win with less units and similar upgrades, like, what about with more units? It feels like Dark's Roach Ravager is just... It's hard to pinpoint the moment that things turn, as each of these fights is just adding up. So much attempt to flank and counterflank, but for the most part, Dark just kept everything together. And that worked out for him. Corrosive biles on both sides. The Queen's out in front. Ooh, gonna double kill. Reynor struggling to get over 150 supply. Dark is remaxed. Killing Ravagers. A counterattack shut down. The reinforcing Roach is able to deal with it relatively easily. And any attempts to re-expand will be taken out as well. More drones. Dark just grinding his way through. A pretty epic back and forth game. But the details, the devil's in the details here. And now 11 mutas, just in case Raider's able to hold on. Dark brings out the mutas for the finishing blow. He's killed so many. There's only 1 queen left. There's no spore at the only mining base. Dark pulls back. Because instead of throwing his roaches and ravagers into the meat grinder. Oh, these are GG mutas. I give it a better than 50%, 69% chance Reynor just GGs when he sees them. He's gonna go for it. This is an elimination match, so he's gonna try. But Dark is never gonna give him a fight at this point. Every fight's gonna go his way. He can pick his battles as he wants, and so far he's made great choices on them throughout this series. GG! Dark in ZVP and ZVZ shows a command over Reynor that nets him a comfortable and decisive victory. I think it was a pretty fun series here, but I think Reynor, it just wasn't prepared for Dark as Protoss. I'm sure his Protoss is one of the, probably better than almost everyone except Max Pax on the European ladder. But Dark is something different. The final boss is not taking it. He's dealing it out though. 3-1 against Reynor. Moving on. Hopefully you enjoyed. Thank you again to Master Coliseum and World Team League for putting it on. It'd be awesome if you have the means and motivation to check out Patreon, YouTube membership, the stream as well. Otherwise, it's already amazing if you like and subscribe. Thank you for watching. I hope I made your day a little bit better. Good luck. Have fun. I'll see you next time. Stay chill.